You asked us to explore who might be considered the most disgusting man in, well, the entire history of humankind. That's a truly chilling thought, isn't it? To dig into the darkest corners of human nature like that, find someone whose actions truly defy belief. Well, today, that's exactly our mission. We're going to unpack the story of King Leopold II of Belgium. Our research reveals a man whose reign caused unimaginable suffering, led to millions of deaths, making him, unfortunately, a prime candidate for such a grim title. When we look back at the late 1800s, it was a period of intense global competition, especially among European powers. They were aggressively carving up Africa, scrambling for colonies, for wealth. It was a brutal era of expansion, no doubt. But even within that context, Leopold II stands out. There was something, uniquely insidious about his approach.
That's a really critical point here. Leopold II's ambition wasn't just about getting another colony for Belgium or, accumulating power like other monarchs were doing. He craved something far more absolute. Total personal control over a vast territory and its resources. And what's truly astonishing and frankly deeply cynical is how masterfully cunning he was in achieving this. He embarked on this elaborate diplomatic charade, convincing the world, quite effectively actually, that his intentions in Central Africa were noble, humanitarian even. He claimed he would civilize the Congo, eradicate the Arab slave trade there, bring progress. This public image he built up, it created this powerful, almost unbelievable contrast with the horrific reality we're about to explore. His actions were anything but civilizing.
Okay, so how did this deception really take hold? It sounds almost impossible that he pulled that off. Noble intentions while planning such horrors. What was his strategy? How did he keep up that facade?
It's a stark lesson, isn't it? How easily those noble ideas can be twisted by, unchecked personal greed. Even fooling other colonial powers busy with their own agendas, the key moment. That was the Berlin Conference of 1884-85. This is where the European powers basically formalized the carve-up of Africa. Leopold, through some really clever lobbying, portraying himself as this benevolent philanthropist, he managed to get the international community to recognize the Congo Free State, but not as a Belgian colony, no, as his own personal sovereign entity. This was unprecedented. Think about that. An entire region, 76 times the size of Belgium itself, bigger than Western Europe. It became King Leopold's private estate, his personal property, not under the Belgian government, but under his sole absolute authority, and a crucial distinction. It insulated his operations from even the limited oversight a normal colony might have faced. Tragically, it set the stage for unimaginable horrors.
Wow. That is an astonishing diplomatic coup, just pure deceit. To have that much land, that many people, become one man's personal property, immune from scrutiny, it's almost unfathomable. So, okay, with this private kingdom under his absolute control, what did he do with it? What was the actual mechanism of this exploitation?
Right, with that absolute private ownership, Leopold was free to implement a system of brutal, totally unchecked exploitation. His main focus. It quickly became rubber. You see, the late 19th century saw this massive surge in demand for rubber. The Industrial Revolution was booming bicycle tires, industrial machinery, you name it, and the Congo was rich in wild rubber vines. So the Congolese people were utterly forced, to collect this wild rubber from the forest. The conditions were, completely inhuman. Driven to exhaustion, subjected to relentless quotas, worked literally to death, all to feed Leopold's insatiable demand for profit. The whole system was just designed for maximum extraction, minimum regard for human life.
And to enforce this grotesque system, this personal profit machine, he created his own private army, this entity known as the Force Public. Who were these soldiers, and what did they do to make sure those rubber quotas were met?
The Force Public was really an instrument of pure terror. It wasn't a conventional army at all. It was made up mostly of conscripted Africans from different regions, often forced to police their own people or brought in from other parts of Africa. And they were commanded by European officers, brutally disciplined and incentivized to enforce Leopold's will with extreme prejudice. Their mission was simple: get the rubber quotas delivered by any means necessary.
Right.
And their methods were truly horrific.
So if villagers failed to deliver the rubber, which must have happened all the time with impossible quotas, what happened then? Our research turned up details that are just genuinely hard to process.
The punishments were beyond imagination. They weren't just to punish. They were designed to instill absolute paralyzing fear. Historical accounts, they describe villages being raided, entire families slaughtered, women raped, children mutilated. But what truly underscores the depravity, what becomes this horrifying visceral symbol, is a detail you see again and again in the reports from back then.
And that detail,
Yeah.
to me, that's one of the most chilling things in this entire deep dive. Soldiers in the force public, they were required to cut off the right hand of every victim they killed. Why? It wasn't just random savagery, was it? It was cold, calculated accounting. Proof that an expensive bullet, a valuable commodity, hadn't been wasted.
Precisely. It's more than just barbarity. It's this profound, horrifying insight into a system of total control. The severed hand wasn't just a byproduct of violence or some gruesome trophy, no. It was a perverse form of accounting proof that a bullet was spent effectively. But its deeper, more insidious purpose was psychological, a constant visceral threat to every living person, a symbol of utter dehumanization, designed to break spirits, ensure absolute compliance. I mean, you imagine living under that constant shadow where your worth was less than a bullet, and your very body could be a ledger entry. Piles of severed hands literally became the horrifying symbol of Leopold's rule. Missionaries, early investigators, they saw them, reported them. It just exposes how terror can become institutionalized, turning logistics into instruments of atrocity.
Just think about that for a moment. The sheer calculated cruelty, turning human body parts into a receipt. The human cost of the system is almost impossible to comprehend. Our research highlights historical estimates that, well, they truly make you gasp. Between 10 to 15 million Congolese people died under Leopold's reign. Think about that number. Millions of lives. And the causes of death, as varied as they were brutal: starvation, disease, rampant torture, outright murder.
Yeah, as historians, we often grapple with numbers that big. And while exact figures are hard to pin down, given the chaos and the time, various independent commissions, historical analyses, they all converge on these horrifying estimates. These aren't just statistics. They represent an entire generation, maybe two, systematically erased. This wasn't just a high death toll. It was a deliberate, systematic dismantling of a society. Imagine entire villages just vanishing from the map, not only through direct killing, but also forced migration, destruction of farms, the spread of disease as people fled or were crammed into awful labor camps. Whole cultures were destroyed, their traditions, their knowledge, their social structures obliterated. The impact was profound, lasting, echoing through generations. You can argue it's still visible today in the Congo's political and social landscape. The sheer depth of the destruction, it just goes far beyond what statistics can ever convey.
And here's the stark, sickening contrast that makes this story even more, well, egregious. While this unimaginable suffering, this devastation was happening in the Congo, Leopold himself was getting astronomically rich. He was living this life of extreme luxury back in Belgium. Palaces were built, grand public parks, monuments raised across the country, all financed by the blood of innocent Africans. He amassed this enormous personal fortune, living in total opulence while millions died in misery, all for his personal gain. He effectively used the entire Congo as his private piggy bank.
It's a classic case, isn't it? Absolute power corrupting absolutely. And it just underscores this profound indifference to human life that funded immense personal wealth. But despite all his efforts to control the narrative, maintain secrecy, hire press agents, tried to suppress damning reports of truth, eventually it couldn't be contained. Brave individuals, particularly Protestant missionaries, some dedicated journalists, they started to expose the atrocities. People like George Washington Williams, a Black American minister, and later the shipping clerk Edmund Morel. Morel noticed the weird trade pattern, ships going to Congo full of weapons, coming back packed with rubber, but no goods going back for the Congolese. He started raising alarms.
And then there was Roger Casement, right? The British consul. His reports were pretty instrumental in breaking that silence.
Absolutely. Roger Casement's 1904 report detailing the mutilations, the mass killings, that was a pivotal moment. His methodical, almost understated accounts, coming from a respected diplomat, lent undeniable credibility to the accusations. These efforts, they all came together in these powerful international campaigns, like the Congo Reform Association. Public outrage, fueled by photographs and eyewitness testimonies, smuggled out of the Congo. It started to exert immense pressure on Leopold's regime. Eventually, the sheer weight of evidence, the moral condemnation, it just became too much to ignore. Belgium was forced, finally, to take over the Congo from Leopold's personal control in 1908.
So his personal reign of terror finally ended. But like you said, by that point, the damage was irreversible. Leopold himself died not long after 1909. He lived out his final years despised, cursed even by his own people. His end wasn't one of glory, but public condemnation for the horrors he unleashed.
And that enduring reputation, it really solidifies his place in history. When we look back, he is, well, unequivocally remembered as one of the darkest figures in all of human history. His story, as revealed in these sources, it serves as this chilling testament to a core, undeniable lesson. The unbridled forces of greed and cruelty, when you combine them with unchecked power, they can systematically destroy millions of lives, devastate entire cultures, and leave a legacy of unimaginable horror that resonates for generations. It's also a stark reminder, really, of the global systems that allowed such atrocities to happen.
This deep dive into King Leopold II, it's been a difficult one, definitely, but a vital historical exploration. His story serves as a chilling reminder of humanity's capacity for darkness, how one man's avarice, driven by industrial demand, could lead to the systematic devastation of an entire people, a vast land, leaving a shadow that still stretches across the modern world, really.
Which raises an important question, I think, for all of us to consider. What does Leopold II's story reveal? Not just about the dangers of unchecked power or the narratives we choose to believe or ignore, but also about that complex interplay of global economics and human rights that, well, continues to challenge us even today in our own time.
Indeed, a sobering thought to end on. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into such a pivotal, though truly tragic, chapter of history. We hope it sparks further reflection for you.